Hello, welcome to EPG Pashala Spanish. My name is Nabil Ansari and I teach Spanish in the Center of Spanish, Portuguese, Italian and Latin American Studies in Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. We're in the paper entitled Spanish Grammar 1. In the previous modules, we have covered adjectives including demonstrative and possessive adjectives, the verbs ser and estar, interrogative and exclamative pronouns, the verbs haber, estar and tener, and some basic prepositions. In this module entitled Repaso 2, we are going to revise the main points covered in the previous 6 modules, which will help you not only in a better understanding but also in remembering the relevant aspects of its usage in your communication. So we start with the demonstrative determiners. Well, the demonstrative articles are those words that point out a particular animated or non-animated object. They show, or the demonstrative articles are those words that point out a particular animated or non-animated object. They show or refer to the relative distance between the speaker and the object or noun. The demonstrative determiners are also called articles because they are placed before the noun. They are like the articles el, la, dos, las, o, un, una, unos, unas. For example, when I say I see the red car, and if I say I see this car, so when I in the sentence I see this car is actually the demonstrative determiner, and in Spanish it will be I see the red car will be yo veo el coche rojo, and I see this car will be yo veo este coche. So este is this, and if I say I see the green car and I see that car, so again that is here the demonstrative determiner. So I see the green car in Spanish will be yo veo el coche verde, and I see that car will be veo ese coche. However, adjectives and determiners have to agree in number and gender with the noun that they associate to. Therefore, there are 12 forms of demonstrative articles in Spanish, and these forms are: for when we want to say this, we have for masculine singular it is este, and for feminine singular it is esta. So este, esta means this, but for masculine singular it is este, and for any object which is feminine and singular it will be esta. Same with that which is close by, for masculine singular it is ese, and for feminine singular it will be esa. So that which is not very far, which is close by, we have ese and esa, and for that over there, or that which is something which is a bit far, we have aquel for masculine singular and aquella for feminine singular. Then the 6 forms in masculine and feminine singular are este, esta meaning this, ese, esa meaning that which is something which is close by, and aquel, aquella meaning that over there. And the plural of the same will be, for these it will be estos for masculine plural and estas for feminine plural. for something meaning those close by, we have, for masculine plural we have esos, and for feminine plural we use esas. And for something meaning those over there, for masculine plural we have aquellos, and for feminine plural we have aquellas. Thus estos, estas means these, esos, esas means those close by, and aquellos, aquellas means those over there. Let's now see the uses of the demonstratives. Let's use of the demonstratives determiners. So these determiners, for example, este, esta, estos, estas, estos, estas, are used to indicate that the object is within the nearby range of the person who is talking. So este, esta, estos, estas is used when the object is near from the person who is talking. Ese, esa, esos, esas, meaning that or those, is used to indicate that the object is in a different space but still near to the personal space of the person who is talking, meaning it is still near to the person who is talking. And aquel, aquella, aquellos, aquellas, meaning those or those over there, or that, is used to indicate that the object is far from the personal space of the person who is talking. So demonstrative adjectives are often used with the adverbs of place, which also have 3 different degrees of distance. So till now we have seen the demonstrative determiners are adjectives. Now we are going to see the adverbs of place. So the adverbs of place are aquí or acá, meaning here, ahí, meaning there, and ahí or allá, meaning over there. And there is something called the neutral demonstrative pronoun. The neutral demonstrative pronoun, esto, eso, and aquello, is used when we don't know the name of an object or the name of the object doesn't matter. We also use them when we are talking of any abstract thing or idea and not of any concrete objects. So esto means this, for example, ¿qué es esto? What is this? And eso means that, same thing, ¿qué es eso? What is that? And aquello, if something is quite far, means that over there. And these are neutral demonstrative pronouns, meaning this, that, or that, over there. Now from demonstrative determiners, now we come to the possessive determiners, meaning possessive adjectives. So we use possessive determiners to talk about the possessed thing or the person who owns something, for example, your family members, your friends, your pets, or the things you own, etc. They are similar to English language, but there are some differences in their forms, and these possessive determiners are my, your, his, her, their, our, or theirs. So the possessive adjectives, when they are placed before the noun, are me, meaning my. Me is the same for both masculine singular as well as feminine singular, and me's, which also means my, and me's is also same for plural, masculine plural and feminine plural. So in singular it is me, and in plural it is me's, meaning my. And same way, tu is in singular and tus is in plural, meaning your informal. And su is in singular and sus in plural, meaning his, her, their, or your formal. nuestro, nuestra, and nuestros, nuestras means our. So nuestro is masculine singular, nuestra is feminine singular, and nuestros is used for masculine plural, and nuestras is used for feminine plural. Same way, like nuestro, nuestra, we have vuestro, vuestra, vuestros, vuestras, meaning your, informal plural, and we add the for theirs or your, formal, the possessive adjectives are su and sus. So su for plural but masculine, and su, and also for feminine, and sus is su is for singular masculine and feminine, and sus is for plural masculine and feminine, meaning theirs or your, formal. Now apart from these, in every language there are certain words that are used to describe and specify people, animals and things. These simple words are called adjectives, and they are normally associated with qualities and properties. A qualifying adjective or adjetivo calificativo is a word that is used to make a noun more vivid by stating the properties of that noun. In other words, an adjective is something that describes the qualities of a noun and adds additional information about the noun. For example, un chico guapo, meaning a handsome boy. So, how is the boy? The boy is handsome or guapo. Same way, una actriz famosa. Una actriz famosa means a famous actress. And how is the actress? ¿Cómo es la actriz? Es famosa. Famosa meaning famous. And another example, un libro interesante, meaning an interesting book. Thus, ¿cómo es el libro? How is the book? Es interesante, meaning it is interesting. So, the adjectives in these examples are handsome, famous, and interesting. Thus, in Spanish, adjectives change according to nouns, gender, and number. They become either masculine or feminine adjectives depending on whether the object we are describing is feminine or masculine in gender. They also change according to number. For instance, if the noun is a singular entity, the adjective will be singular as well. Now let's first see how we form the feminine adjectives from the masculine adjectives, which is the basic form. So most adjectives in Spanish ends with o for the masculine form, and they are made feminine by removing the o and adding an a to them. For example, guapo means handsome, but which ends with o. So for feminine, we remove the o and it becomes guapa, meaning pretty. Same way, vago or flojo means lazy in masculine, and in order to make it feminine, so that we can use this adjective for a feminine, we remove the o and it becomes vaga o floja. And same way, bonito meaning beautiful, and bonita is the feminine form of the adjective bonito. And sucio becomes sucia in feminine, meaning dirty. So we remove the o of the adjectives and add a to make it feminine. Now adjectives that end with or make their feminine by adding r to the meaning. So some adjectives which ends with or are, for example, trabajador. So in order to make it feminine, just add a and it becomes trabajadora, meaning hardworking. Same way, hablador meaning talkative, and in order to make it the feminine, just add a and becomes habladora. And acogedor meaning warm for a place, and to make it feminine, add a and becomes acogedora. So adjectives that end with on or an are also made feminine by adding a to them. So the ending on or an is commonly used for insults since it means too much. So for example, comilon is gluten or big eater, and for feminine it is comilona. Same way, dormilon is sleepyhead, and for feminine it becomes dormilona. So just we add a to the adjective. Same way, chillon means screamer, and the feminine will be chillona. And now other adjectives in Spanish which ends with consonant, that is es, become feminine by substitute when we substitute es with esa. Now this is frequently used with nationalities. For example, Français, the adjective Français meaning French ending with es becomes francesa in feminine. Same way, Portuguese becomes portuguesa meaning Portuguese. Now there are another category of adjectives that do not change, which means that remains same for both masculine or for feminine. They remain the same for both genders. However, the way to decide if they are to be used with a masculine or feminine form is the article el or la. Let's see a list of all those adjectives. So adjectives ending with e, for example, grande, that is el grande, la grande means big, or amable or agradable. These adjectives ending with e are invariable, meaning it will not change for both masculine as well as feminine. Same way, adjectives ending with ista, that is egoísta meaning selfish, idealista meaning idealist, and socialista meaning socialist. Adjectives ending with ista like egoísta meaning selfish, idealista meaning idealist, and socialista meaning socialist. So these adjectives which ends with ista remain same for both masculine as well as for feminine gender. Now there are adjectives which ends with accented and stressed vowels. Normally I with accent and u with accent do not change either for the feminine or for the masculine form. For example, Hindu remains same for both gender meaning Hindu. Israeli remains same for both gender meaning Israeli. Pakistani also remains same for both gender meaning Pakistani, and Irani also is the same for both gender meaning Irani. So these adjectives, the nationalities ending with I with accent and u with accent will also not change for either of the gender. Apart from these, the adjectives ending with all other consonants which are different from R or S. For example, fácil ending with L remains same for both gender meaning easy, and joven meaning young also does not change. So adjectives ending with all other consonants except R or S will also not change. And there are also adjectives that are originally ending in A. For example, naranja or rosa, naranja meaning orange and rosa meaning pink. So they originally are ending with A, thus they also remain as it is, meaning they will not change. So for adjectives, you have to remember the rules, as well as you also have to learn all these adjectives so that you can use them properly. Now, after having talked about adjectives, we are going to talk about the verbs ser and estar, which are quite common in our daily communication but are quite confusing also. Although they are not interchangeable, both of them translate as to be in English. Now, this is notable as there are two different verbs in Spanish and only one equivalent in English. Now, first let's see the conjugation of these two verbs. So, estar and the verb ser. So, the conjugation of the verb estar is estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. And the conjugation of the verb ser is soy, eres, es, somos, sois, and son. So, the main difference between ser and estar is that ser is used for permanent situations and for states that don't change. Therefore, you may say your name by simply saying yo soy, and then you tell your name, meaning I am, and then your name, because your name is generally the same all your life. So, we use ser here because that is a constant or permanent characteristic of your personality. On the other hand, estar is used for steps of a larger process that has various changes. For example, estoy bien, meaning I am fine. Obviously, your mood is not permanent and can change to different states like bad, meaning in Spanish is mal, or sad is triste, or happy, which in Spanish is contento. So these are the moods that changes. And we have also heard a song in the previous module titled Que lejos estás, and which also explains the other use of the verb estar. Now you can move to many different places, so your location can change and is likely to change. That's why we also use estar to talk about location. Now, notice that physical features can be matched with ser and estar, but they mean different things with each one of these verbs. Now, ser, as I mentioned, ser is used for permanent features. For instance, la manzana es roja, meaning the apple is red. Now, red is one characteristic that defines this apple and it does not change. Now, it can be used to distinguish red apples from green apples. Meanwhile, estar is used for features that are likely to change. They don't belong to the definition of the object, person, or animal. There are features associated with estar are temporary. For instance, la manzana está verde, meaning the apple is green, or the apple is unripe. So, if it is red, that is the permanent state of the apple, we use the verb ser, and if the temporary state, that is it is unripe and green, we use the verb estar. And we know that the apple will ripen over time, and therefore this feature is temporary, that is temporary. Thus in this case we use estar, as green used with estar means that the apple is not ripe, and it does not mean that it is a green apple. It can be a green or red apple, and if it is if it is a permanent color of the apple, either green or red, then we will use the verb ser. Now, after having talked about the verb ser and estar, we are going to see the interrogatives form, which is a very important part of the language, since they help us to form adequate questions regarding anything we want to know. Now, the differentiating aspect of questions in written Spanish is the use of an inverted question mark at the beginning of the sentence, and the sentence is thus closed with a question mark at the end. So actually in Spanish there are two question marks in one sentence in Spanish. In order to know about something or someone, we ask questions. Now let's see how to ask questions in Spanish, and we are just going to mention some of the basic interrogative pronouns in Spanish, which are the following. ¿Qué means what, ¿cuál means which, ¿cuándo means when, ¿dónde means where, ¿quién means who, ¿cómo means how, and ¿cuánto means how much. So these were some of the basic interrogatives of Spanish language. So there are verbs like haber, estar, and tener, and these are a category of irregular verbs which have multiple functions. Now let's see their uses one by one. I is used to identify objects, people, or places in a particular space. For example, hay unos museos muy importantes, meaning there are some very important museums. Hay mucha gente y mucho tráfico, meaning there are many people and a lot of traffic. Hay una industria de cine muy importante, meaning there is a very important cinema industry. And hay algunas universidades buenas, meaning there are some good universities. These are some examples with the verb I, with the verb haber, and the form was I, meaning there is and there are. And estar is a verb which we have already studied, and also we have revised. And you know that the verb estar is used for stating the temporary qualities as well as for a location of an object. For example, if we say where is India, and the answer is India is in Asia. So this where is India, that is donde está India, and India is in Asia. In Spanish would be la India está en Asia. So the estar verb is the equivalent of the verb to be in English and in this context, but used only for giving locations. So for giving the location of something, we first need to have knowledge of certain prepositions of place that determine the positions and location of objects, people, and places. Now the third verb is the verb tener. Now tener is also used to indicate what things or places the city has, and it is used to express belonging. Now for example, let's see the examples of the verb tener. So if I say la ciudad tiene calles anchas y edificios bonitos, so the city has wide streets and beautiful buildings. Another example, if I say mi barrio tiene muchas tiendas, it means my neighborhood has many shops. So the verb tener means to have or has. Now in short, I is used for existence, like for example in Madrid hay muchos bares, meaning in Madrid there are many bars. Estar is used for location, meaning for example, los bares están en Madrid, meaning the bars are in Madrid. And tener is used for possession. For example, Madrid tiene muchos bares, meaning Madrid has many bars. So we are going to talk about the prepositions. So prepositions in Spanish are very similar to the one in English. They are used in the same way as in English. So there are some verbs that are immediately followed by these prepositions to make sense. Now the most common Spanish prepositions are a, de, en, or a, de, con, and en. A means at, de is of or from, con is with, and en means in. Now there are other prepositions of place which are always used with the verb estar, as these prepositions denote location, and these are dentro de, enfrente o delante de, encima de, al lado de, cerca de, junto a, debajo de, entre, detrás de, a la derecha de y a la izquierda de. And apart from these prepositions, there are some other prepositions of place which are sobre, meaning above, en, which means on, al final de, meaning at the end of, al principio de, means at the beginning of, al fondo de, meaning at the end of, cerca de, meaning near from, lejos de, meaning far from, fuera de, meaning outside, alrededor de, which means around, junto a means close by. Now these were the relevant aspects covered in the previous modules in detail, but in this module we have simply revised the important aspects which we have already covered. So you to do more exercises, and if you want to see other relevant links which will help you in a better understanding of these grammatical aspects covered in the previous 6 modules, you should refer back to the e-text. Thank you.